Hello.
How's it going?
It is going so well. How are you?
Good. I'm great. I'm super excited to meet you. I've been listening to your audiobook the last couple days, so it
Yay.
feels like we've been talking already.
Oh my God, are you sick of my voice yet?
Never. It was
Okay, cool. Well, I've listened to the audiobook for about 45 hours. I'm sick of my voice
right.
now.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm sure we'll talk about that later, but I bet going through an audiobook is tough or like exhausting almost.
hmm
I'm sure. Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah, you know what? Hell of an experience. Highly recommend. Um, am I excited to do it again? Not anytime
Yeah.
soon.
Right. You're like the best thing
Did
I'd
you get
never
the
do
physical
twice.
book yet?
Yeah. Made a few notes.
Yay! All right, that makes me happy.
Yeah. Oh
Cool.
yeah. I actually finished the book, so it was a great book.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love reading. I love reading. Right.
Oh, same. I see by your pile of books. Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
pretty voracious reader myself. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, it's either I'm playing with my phone a little bit or like I'm learning a language or
Oh,
reading
nice.
a book or something. Last night what was I reading? The Big Leap. That's a good book.
Ooh, I haven't heard of that one, but I'll
That's
have
a
to
good
check
one.
it out.
Hey, you want to talk about books sometime? I got you.
That's right. That's great. Well, thanks for joining me, Laura. And I really appreciate the opportunity to have you come talk about the book. And I, like I said, I had a great time listening to it, reading it. I do this weird thing where I get both. So I get the audiobook and the physical book.
I do that too.
I can listen to it on audio, but I can go back and reference like,
Well,
oh my
that's
God.
the thing. I like my physical book for taking notes and
Yeah,
putting little colored flags and all the little sections that I love. And then I can
right.
refer back to it. But I love listening to it because, especially like if it's read by the author, like mine is,
Yeah,
um, you get so much intonation and so much like value from the words that you just can't pick up from the page,
right. Well, yeah,
you know?
the tone and like the inflection has a lot to do with the message, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree
So
more.
you get my melodious voice in your ear telling you all about habits. You need to love yourself.
That's right.
Come on,
And
Dalton.
yeah,
Graham,
absolutely.
affirm yourself. You got this.
That's right. That's right. That's so funny. So let me start here. I follow you on Instagram. I've listened to a few of the podcasts, and I know that you mentioned podcasts in your book. I
Mhm.
listened to a few of the episodes that you've been
Cool.
on. And I know you do, and I know you're doing quite a bit of them, and I appreciate the honor to have you on, like I said. But
Please, the honor's mine.
what's the message that you want to get out there? You're doing a lot of the podcasts. You're doing a TEDx talk in the near future, right? It got canceled, but it's on, right?
I don't know.
What's
Ask
the
me when the world isn't on fire. I have
I
no
know
idea.
exactly. I know that's nuts. But what's like the message that you want to get out there? What's your like the most important thing you want to get out there with these podcasts?
It's a great question, and I'm glad you asked that. The primary message that I really want to get out there is that we have an opportunity to change our world and the world by working on ourselves. And everything we wish to see in the world, either a more harmonious world, a more joyful world, families not being broken, like cultures and civilizations being healed and whatever, or our own selfish dreams coming true, which by the way is totally okay. It all begins within, all of it. And that's the big thing I want people to get.
I like that. No, and I really appreciated the book too. I appreciated everything that you wrote as far as your own experiences, opening up with your own traumas and your past and things like that, right? And so
I
I
did
just
not
found.
enjoy writing about those things, by the way.
Yeah, well, so that was one of the questions, and maybe I can just jump right through it. But how was that whole process for you in writing the book and being vulnerable like that? I know you mentioned Brene Brown's one of your uh, a great TEDx talk and a great book. She wrote a couple,
Yeah.
but how was that process for you, knowing that it was going to go into a book, knowing that there's critics everywhere?
Well, is this an explicit interview where I can
Yeah,
really
go
answer
ahead.
you?
No, go ahead.
Well,
Do what you
opinions are
need to
like
do.
assholes. Everybody has one and they all stink.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what my
right.
father's
That's
been
right.
telling me for years. Um, but sincerely, though, it was hard to bring that level of vulnerability, and just kind of nakedness to everything. But the reason why I did it is and and like this, to be honest with you, it was really challenging to write the book from that perspective. And I don't like using lots of like case studies in my writing. I've had a really interesting life, lots of ups and lots of downs. And the one thing I really wanted to do when I was telling a lot of these stories is just really prove to people that you really don't need to be special to create a special life. I
Hmm.
am so far from special, it's not even funny. And my upbringing was like, I don't know, my parents did their best, but like other kids
Right, right.
crapped on me. I was abused. I went through all this stuff. And
Hmm.
um, it's like, I don't know. I feel like there's validity in people being able to see themselves in some of the trials and tribulations that I shared about my own life. Like, we don't all have it figured out. I messed up. I've got ADHD. I was abused. I was bullied. I
Hmm.
was this. I was that. And, I still did it. And I think the main takeaway point that I wanted people to really feel from the book is you can be an average human being with all your baggage and you can still create something extraordinary. And if my stubborn ass could do it, so could you.
No, I think there's a lot of power in that, and there's a lot of truth in that, and there's a lot of power that comes to people, especially while reading your book. But there's a lot of power that comes to people when they realize that they're not alone, right? I did
Yeah.
I did another interview with an author um, who mentioned that, right? Like there's power in togetherness,
Hmm.
and I think that you try to offer that, and I think you do a really good job in your book about, you know
Thanks.
I'm with you, right? I'm here with you, right? And we're going to go through this together, because I think that's at least a fear for me, like in my past with my own traumas, and I think everybody has them, right? But at least that's for me, right? Is you get to be together with people, and I think there's a lot of power in that.
Totally. Well, I think, and I think you probably read this in the book already, and maybe even now you're listening to it again, is, we see a lot of our heroes that we appreciate out there and the people we admire and whatever, and we think they've got it all figured out. And we think that they've got something that we don't have. And that's just not true. And that was one of the things that I really wanted to talk about, and I
Hmm.
still want to get that point across now. It's like, there's a lot of people out there that are so much wealthier than I am. They might not be happier than I am. And at the
Right.
end of the day, who's the one that's truly wealthy? Me.
Right.
Because you can't take money with you.
That's
When you
right.
die, you can't. And money doesn't really make the person. And the thing is, you know, yes, it's a lot harder to cry on a jet ski, than it is not. Money is very helpful. But at the end of the day, that is not your measure of success as a human. It's just not. And I didn't know that really like in my soul for years. And
Hmm.
being able to like really get that message powerfully, through living it. I was just having an incredible conversation with an attorney this morning who, she's just reevaluating, like, I'm on the partner track.
Mm.
Why? Like, well, it's because you probably wanted to make your parents happy when you were a little girl, and you probably wanted to do this, and you probably wanted to do that. And then
Yeah.
the older you get, the more you realize, these are not my dreams. And we need to give ourselves permission to define success and joy on our terms. And society
Yeah.
doesn't really give us permission or structure to do that, and it's certainly not the tools. So that's
Oh
where the six
yeah.
habits came from. And I created the 90-day program, which is a real life changer. That was the original thing that I created. And
Right.
when I did that, it's because I was just on the damn hamster wheel and I was just chasing, like, oh, I need to do all the things and have all the success and do all this because then I'll be happy and then other people will love me and blah, blah, blah. And
Right.
what I really needed was for me to love me and to have the courage to decide, wow, I don't actually want all that stuff that some of my friends want and that my mom
Yeah.
wants me to have and that society wants me to have. Nope, turns out I actually love sitting in my jammies and just reading a book. That actually makes me happy. I'm very nerdy, very nerdy.
There you go.
Um, but like some of us have very humble desires and that's
Hmm.
okay. And I
Yeah.
I think that we condemn people for being humble. We want them to be humble, but we don't. Like, oh, when you do good and you do acts of service, you better be humble about it or don't do it, blah, blah, blah. But
Right.
when you achieve, you better aim for the moon, you know, and at
Yeah,
least
yeah,
you'll
yeah.
land among the stars, which first of all is scientifically inaccurate. I hate
Right.
that phrase. But like you get
I
all these
agree.
different things where it's just constantly condemning people for wanting the littlest things. And you get like a little kid. What do you want to do when you grow up? I want to work at McDonald's. Cool.
Right.
Why not cool? You know,
Yeah. Got to
like
start somewhere, right?
we
Or
do not
whatever.
train our children, and I mean this culturally,
Yeah.
all of our children,
Yeah.
to aspire for happiness as the goal and
Mm,
be entrepreneurs and go out on your own and make life on your own terms. And it's okay if you mess it up. And it's okay if, you know, the things you want are really simple and silly, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. Like that's something that I've always thought about too, because we're not all meant to be. And one of the reasons I actually started my own podcast, the one we're on right now, was to see just the business owners, the everyday influencers, the everyday people doing like what makes them happy, and not only that, but doing the things that they never thought they'd do before,
Yeah.
but found out that it was making them happy. As their priorities changed, as they grew up and they realized they wanted to do their own thing, that things started to change for them, and that happiness came from, like business owners, they love what they do, they're so passionate about what they do, right?
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
and but they might not be the next Amazon, they might not be the next Best Buy or something like that, but
Nope.
it's something that they built and that they love and they're happy doing it,
Yep.
and that's something that I,
Absolutely right.
you know part of your book, right? Acceptance, just knowing that, like, hey, this is my path, this is what I'm on, and I'm happy with my path, and
Yeah.
really
I mean,
going there.
listen, so you saw in the book, you read in the book, you've obviously seen my bio and all this other stuff.
Hmm.
I retired at 37.
Yeah.
Notable achievement. I'm proud of it, right?
Right.
And did you know that when I retired at 37, I still felt like my accomplishments weren't big enough. My
Mm,
company wasn't big enough. I hadn't achieved enough. And I
mm,
still felt like a failure because I wasn't Jeff Bezos, because I
yeah.
hadn't won.
Jeez.
No, I built a
That's
small
tough.
company
Yeah.
and I retired from it and I built a structure that works for me and I built passive income and I'm wealthier than most people because I get the luxury of doing whatever the hell I want with my time.
That's right. And that's the best part of it, right? Is
Who
freedom.
cares
Like
how I
that's,
built it? But I was
yeah.
judging me because I was so
Jeez.
afraid that other people would look at me, perhaps that were more successful than me, that and look down their
Mm,
nose at me. No, they weren't. I was doing it to
right.
myself.
Yeah, that's something that I've noticed even in my life too, and that people, people get caught in it, but they make up these things in their head that aren't really happening out here, right?
Yeah.
Like, that guy must hate me. That guy probably didn't even notice you, right? For better or worse, right? He probably wasn't even thinking about
No, because he's too busy thinking about himself, just like you're too busy thinking about
it.
yourself.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah,
listen, we're all egocentric. We just need to own it,
that's right. I'm with
you
you.
know.
Yeah, I'm with you, and try to break those chains. So, no, okay, indulge me for a minute. You are in Hawaii, right?
Maui.
You're Maui. Oh my goodness. Why did you pick Maui?
It's awesome here.
I love Maui. My family is from Maui. So my mom is Hawaiian. And they're
Really?
from Maui and Kauai, and I think I have some family on
Oh
a
my
couple of
God,
islands.
that's right. I actually remember doing a little bit of research on you when I was getting booked to do this
Yeah.
interview with you and saw the Hawaiian names. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, aloha, what's
That's
up?
right. Yes. Yes. And so I just wanted to talk about that because Hawaii. Why'd you pick Hawaii?
Well, if I may be spiritual and a little nerdy for a moment,
All right. Deal.
Mother Maui chose me. She invited me
Yeah.
to move here and be part of the land and the culture and the community and to do for others and care for her creatures and things like that. And I was magnetically drawn here by
Mm,
Maui herself,
yeah. No, and I
which
get a
nobody
lot of.
expects me to say, by the way.
No, I love the answer. Well, especially, I mean, I'm not like 100% Hawaiian or anything, but I appreciate that because I understand that too. There's a lot of mana that comes with being on the island and being
Absolutely.
around all that. Nature is just powerful. Mother Nature is just powerful by herself. She,
She is. She is. And, the thing that I needed after 20 years of being a giant stress ball was to
mm,
not be stressful. And
Yeah.
the thing about being here is I don't know if my invitation from the land, which I felt spiritually, um, was a permanent invitation or just be here for a while and let me heal you. And why don't you help heal me? Because there's
Hmm.
been a lot of like people that live here that are hurting and they're poor and they're this and that. And
Hmm.
there's ways that I've been trying to help the community and, trying to get involved the best I can. And it's difficult. And,
Hmm.
the thing that really has always called to me is actually the animals and the creatures of the ocean that live here. And, everything is very healing. And
Yeah.
there's just this is a spiritual epicenter on the planet. And if you really look at that, people view Maui as the heart chakra of the planet. Um, and I get it. It's had a
Yeah.
transformational effect on me. Um, it's funny. I was talking to one of our business colleagues with my first company today, and she's like, "Wow, this is not the you of 3 years ago." I'm like, "I know, better, huh?" She's like,
Beautiful.
"Wow, I know. You're living my dream life." I'm like, "Well, you got to work on you, girl. You
That's
got to work
right.
on you."
Yeah, and and you can't compare, you know, other people's progress to yours, right? Because we run our own
No,
race. One of my favorite
honestly, you
things.
shouldn't even compare you to you, because
Yeah.
like that's
That's
dangerous
true.
too.
That's true. Well, yeah, I had to do a lot of forgiving my younger self because we were different people.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
I
good.
had
And letting it go. I mean, you said read
right.
from the book. There's a lot of forgiveness work that you need to do. And if you haven't
Yes.
downloaded the exercises, I really hope you do. And you download them and you do them.
Deal. Deal.
The Good. Do it. I'm gonna hold you to it. The thing about all of this stuff is we gotta face ourselves. We have to like work with who we are, acknowledge what is, and just work from a place of I'm not broken. I'm not
Hmm.
incomplete, but I deserve love. I could be better because I love me,
Hmm.
not because I hate me. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I could have better because I love me. It's like
Yeah.
this is an easier thing to explain. I'll use this metaphor. Exercise, you
Yeah.
should never exercise because you hate your body. You should exercise because you love your body and it's a celebration of all the awesome stuff it can do.
That's yes. Well, I heard it put one time, with just taking care of your body and exercising and eating right, that diets die, right? And it's got to be a lifestyle change, right? You got to change
Totally.
your whole you have to change and get on a new path because like
Yep.
diets die, right? And
And
I'm
they
and
suck.
I and I learned that from a guy who was like a crazy faster, like fasted all the time and very like meditative and
Hmm.
really cool guy. But that I never that so diets die, and then if you want to feel alive, eat things that are alive, like fruits and vegetables. Like he taught me that too.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of things out there. I've actually been learning about nutrition lately, and it's been
it's
really
crazy.
cool to
Yeah, it's
finally
crazy.
learn about nutrition from a doctor that basically flips the bird to tradition like Western medicine. And it's like, yeah, this is terrible because keep in mind the healthcare system only makes money on you when you're sick.
Right.
Why do they want you to be healthy? Oh, that's right. They can't profit on you when you're healthy. So
That's
that's
right.
really not the goal. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
No,
where I've been lately.
it's so true. So let me ask you this. Where did you come up with the idea of the six habits? Where did you come up with the six themselves? Um, because
Yeah,
yeah,
research.
okay.
Research, lots of it. So I retired. I told you that, and I really
Hmm.
wanted to be happy, and I wasn't. And honestly, I felt kind of ripped off. Like, hey, where's my prize? I did all the things. Like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
I was pretty salty about it, to be honest with you. And I really wanted something better for myself, and I had done all of the research. I'd done the books, and God, I've read so many incredible books, and I did courses, and I did like retreats and awesome like week-long things, and I've done all of these things, and I've I liked them. And it's like, wow, I get so fired up, but nothing ever stuck. And that kind of pissed me off. I'm like,
Mhm.
so let me get this straight. I'm an infinitely capable person. I'm really smart and I've done all this reading and I've paid for all this stuff. And yet I'm still a miserable piece of shit. Why is that? So I got pissed. And as an entrepreneur, I wanted to know, well, you know what? What's the solution? I want to solve this the first time, and just be done with it, because this is ridiculous. And I'm tired of
Mhm.
being told that there's something wrong with me. And I don't want to be falling prey to like other people's crap where they're just preying on me and making me feel incomplete. No, 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 no. Amazing what anger will do for us.
Yeah.
So I wanted to figure out what it was. So I started like documenting, all right, what are the key takeaways that I've gotten from everything I've ever learned? Everything.
Mhm.
And what are the things that were easy to remember? What were the things that not? What were the things that I actually implemented? What did I not? Then I started like doing more research. What else is out there? And asking a really big question, like, what are the most happy and successful among us doing? And what do they all have in common that the rest of us seem to be missing out on? Namely, myself. I want to be really clear. All the 6 habits stuff started from an extremely egocentric place.
Mhm.
It was all about, I want to feel better.
Yeah, you wanted to
The
get out.
almighty I.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started doing the research and I wanted to figure out, well, what is it? Well, turns out it all, like I wrote down everything, right? That
Mhm.
everything that I pulled from my research, from my memory, from my experiences, from people, all of it. And then I started looking for patterns. And the patterns were the 6 things. And I was looking at these 6 things. I'm like, huh. The more I stared at it, the more I was like, these aren't attributes. These aren't epiphanies. These
Mhm.
are habits.
Yeah.
Hmm. So then I started looking into habit, reading books about habit, looking into the science of habit. And because I'm a stubborn person, I wanted to know, well, you know, what is it, what is it when we get to like, habit? What's the truth? So I started researching habit. Turns out marketers, and I say this as the CEO of a marketing company, marketers would have you believe, so they can sell you more crap, that habits can be formed in 21 days. No, they can't. That is a lie. I feel like Maury Povich.
Right.
That is a lie. You are the father. Um,
Yes.
so the DNA results
It's
are
true
in. This
though.
is bullshit.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
then the second thing, 30 days. Nope, also a
Yep.
lie. Science. God bless science.
Yep.
Science says it is 66 days to form a habit. And because I am a stubborn so-and-so, and I'm also human, and I have yet to ever stick with anything for any length of time consistently, like I was like, all right, well, I'm going to round up. I'm going to call this 90 days, and I'm going to build a 90-day program for myself, and I'm going to see what it does. And I'm going to use all of these principles. So I've got these 6 things, these 6 broad categories. Turns out they're habits. What do I got to do to acquire these habits over a 90-day period? Well, it's repetition. So I built
Yeah.
this 90-day program for myself. And dude, I changed my life so massively. Like I remember like the first like day 5, I was seeing massive shifts in my relationship with my husband, and we were breaking down barriers and getting closer. And then I was like, day 8, I was like having the courage to like finally look at something differently. Day 12, I'm like taking a look at myself in the mirror and be like, that stuff went wrong because of you. You should own it. Oh God, that
Yeah.
hurt. But I
Yes.
powered through it. And like, I healed broken relationships. I had spiritual breakthroughs. Day 38, 40, no, day 42. I remember I was here on Maui with my husband celebrating my retirement. And it was the super wolf blood moon. Remember that?
Yes.
And
Yes.
we were here, and like, I was just like, damn, I've always wanted to live here. What a spiritual place. And I just remember feeling the call of the land to come here. And I was like, nah, that's bullshit. Nah, that's bullshit. And listen, I'm a really cynical, pragmatic New Englander. Okay. Just because I
Yes.
moved here does not mean I'm Hawaiian.
Right.
Nope. I'm
Right.
super white for anyone that's only listening. I'm white. I match paper. Paper has a better tan than I have.
Right.
So like, I was like, this doesn't fit, but like, I never had the courage to move, but I was like, babe, let's do it. I feel called to move here, and I feel like I can be of service to the land. And I feel like my spiritual calling it's arriving where I can really just kind of like be the person I've always wanted to be and that I'm supposed to be spiritually and, life path wise and whatever, and do the things I'm supposed to do. And, um, I just like throughout the entire 90 days, I kept having like miracle breakthrough after miracle breakthrough. And I just changed so much as a person. My husband and I grew closer. He did the 90-day program
Mhm.
too, which blew my frickin' doors off because he doesn't believe in this fluffy woo-woo stuff for like a minute. He's like, y'all a bunch of crackheads. I'm not
Yeah.
doing that,
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
know.
I'm out.
Well, he did it and he's like, damn, you're onto something. And he finally got to be more of the man he always wanted to be and forgive his father for all the dumb shit his father did to him and whatever. And
Yeah.
it was like I built the marriage I always wanted. I got the courage to step into my dream life and build big things and do big stuff. And I was like, damn, the end of the 90 days, I had the habits that I wanted, but more importantly, I had the results of the habits already in their early stages starting to manifest. My house was on the market. My marriage was awesome. I felt so spiritually alive, and I felt so many of my great relationships like coming back to me. And it was, it was really, really powerful. And that's the thing that I've been really excited to realize is I think that Maui called me here for a lot of reasons. One being, yes, the 90 days and everything that I built was originally for me, but to get me away from everything being all about me and realizing how I can do so much good in the world by practicing what I preach, giving healing to others, sharing from a place of love, and having this incredibly ridiculously audacious goal of reaching 1 billion people and changing 1 billion people so we can have happier children, more functional generations, happier workplaces, more people courageously following their dreams, and we can
Mm,
fix this incredibly messed up, broken world we live in by working on ourselves, which circles right back to the very thing you asked me about in the beginning. So
right.
yeah, as a result of all the 90-day stuff, like I had originally written the book just so I could like tell my friends about it because you don't know about this fluffy woo-woo stuff here. Read these couple of paragraphs.
Right.
Um, but I wanted to go the distance because I really wanted
Yeah.
to share this with other people and change lives.
Well, I like how you put these, what before reading your book, I would have considered these habits values, right? So kindness, goodness, presence, I would have considered that those kind of like values. But what I like about your book and what it made me think about, and one of the reasons I love reading anything, is it changed my thought process to, these are lifestyles. You can't just say I have kindness as a value and then pull it out whenever you want it, right? It has to be a
Right.
habit. It has to be a lifestyle.
Has to be your default behavior
Right,
that
right.
you don't
Yeah,
think about. That takes
exactly.
time and practice.
Yeah, exactly. It can't be like a corporate value statement. Like it's got to be who you are. You know what I mean? Um,
Absolutely. No, it really is. And I got to be honest with you, that was probably the most pivotal thing for me is when I was
mm,
starting to do this work, I was starting to see all the holes in realizing, oh my gosh, the happy and successful people that we admire the most, they pump themselves up and they tell themselves they can do things. And,
mm,
if they have a mean thought in their head, because we all have them, they squash it and they don't listen. And
yeah,
that needs to be my default. And I need to unconditionally love myself. And it is not my default. I'm carrying some heavy bags.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
the thing that everybody always assumes when they're new to the 6 habits is, oh, I'm good at this stuff. This is kid stuff. It's not.
yeah.
It's
It's tough.
not. And
Yeah,
listen, I'm happy to be on every podcast in the world and tell you what the 6 habits are in frickin' detail.
right,
But that is not enough. It's the beginning. Awareness is just the beginning of the journey to
right.
building a lifestyle, because when you actually start to look at what having that habit looks like and then compare where you are to what the ideal is, you're like, damn it. And you realize how far off you are, right?
Yeah,
And then you
exactly. Yeah.
realize you've got work to do. And yeah, you got to do the work.
Hmm.
I thought I was a grateful person. Nope, was not. Then
You're
I
right.
learned what gratitude really is. And then I thought, I was like, oh, well, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a rock star at intention. No, I'm pretty good. not where I
Right.
needed to be, and
Right.
all of
Right.
these different things. And like, we always overestimate our abilities, and we always assume things are easier and that we're better at things than we naturally are. And then when we actually start to peel back the layers and have the courage to look at ourselves and realize, wow, I suck at this, but I'm actually on my way to not sucking at this. If
Hmm.
I do the work, I can actually be the person I always wanted to be. And I can
Hmm.
actually, for real, instead of just dreaming about, I can actually have the stuff I always wanted and do that crazy audacious stuff that
Hmm.
I always thought that, wow, those are big dreams and that's all they'll ever be. Well, what if you
Right.
actually did them? Like,
Well,
come
yeah.
on. I'm
Yeah.
just
And you
one
use,
lousy human. Like, I got a goal to reach 1 billion people. Just this one like person sitting in her condo in Maui. Who the hell am I? I'm a person that believes that I can do it.
yeah. Well, and and I think part of being able to help other people and being able to reach those goals is being okay with yourself. Acceptance is being intentional about getting better every day, is
Yeah.
staying grounded. You know what I mean? I know you brought up mindfulness and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, but that's what it is, right? It's being okay with saying like, hey, I know I'm not there yet, but I'm going to keep going and I'm going to keep trying. And I'm going to, one of my favorite things, like, I teach this to my kids, and people that I meet, is like, I always tell them, cause you bring this up in your book too. I call it the paradox of control. And I think I heard that somewhere, but it's this idea that like the more you realize you need to let go, the more you can get what you want in life. Right.
Yeah.
Um, and I
I
tell
call it
people
the
that
illusion of control, but yeah.
yeah, the illusion of
You got to learn
control,
to surrender. You are not in charge. You think you are, but you're
yeah.
not.
And I always say that. I say, remember, acceptance, not control. Just keep
Well,
going.
you could always put it the way my dad used to put it: people plan and God laughs.
I like that too. I like that too.
There's
Um,
dadisms everywhere.
yeah, I no, but it's true though. You never do that, because it always throws in. You got to be able to adapt, and that's what I think the 6 habits do for people, is they allow people to adapt to whatever situation that they come in.
Totally.
Because as you start going down that rabbit hole, a lot of that's scary. When you start like, hey, I got a
It
lot
is.
of stuff I got to fix, a lot of places I need to heal, and I got to be open about that, and I got to be vulnerable about that. And I think it's harder for people to be vulnerable. Like, I can be vulnerable with you, and vice versa, and we can be and this, but it's hard to be that with yourself, right?
I I actually think it's very difficult for people to be vulnerable with each other because we live in a society that generally doesn't encourage that, which is why I'm
Sure.
such a huge fan of everything Brene Brown is trying to do in the world, because
Yeah.
she's all about people being vulnerable. Listen,
Right.
I love doing podcast interviews because it helps me to reach my 1 billion people, but I also love it because I get to make a real genuine connection with an awesome human being like
Mm.
you. And I get to make a new friend, and I get to have a deep conversation, and I get to
Yeah.
be vulnerable, because at the end of the day, these are the conversations that really matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I think
these are
so.
the ones of substance. They've got teeth. These are the ones you remember, where you're just like,
I
shit,
do.
I got
Yeah.
to look in the mirror. Yeah, you do. And it's okay when you look
Yeah.
it back at you and you're not really thrilled with what you see, but it's
Right.
okay because you're
Right.
on your way. And
Right.
I find that people have a hard time relating to each other and letting the walls down. But, obviously being vulnerable with ourselves. But, you know, I work and I don't coach too many people. I consider myself a facilitator, really, of working with very successful people that, and by the way, these are the toughest nuts to crack, because they are so good at building up the facade that I have it all together. Look at all my toys. Look at all my achievements. Look at all my trophies. Look at all my awards. Look at my big fat bank account. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. I'm
Yeah.
successful.
Right.
These are the toughest people to crack. But once they crack, these are the people I love to help, because these are the people often, and nobody else knows this, in the most pain. Because for someone that's kind of already like low, it's so much easier for that person to be vulnerable and admit, you know what, this is not going so well, right? Because there's a
Right.
lot of people that are already having that conversation. But what happens when you're a titan of the universe that you built, and you actually admit, this sucks and I'm not having any fun, and
Yeah.
my life is joyless, and I thought I
Hmm.
wanted this 10 years ago, and now that I'm here, no, I really don't. And I
Yeah.
don't want to give up all the money because the money's nice. Um,
Right. Right.
but where's the joy? And how do I build the life I really want? And I want to write kids' books. How do I do that?
Yeah.
That's the work I like to do. Is okay, let's
Yeah.
get you right with you. And then let's
Right.
figure out the logistics,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
all possible, all of it.
Yeah. And that's the thing I love about interviewing business owners, entrepreneurs, authors is when they found that was it, right? They were okay with themselves. They got themselves to a point where they could go. Um, they found a way to make it possible. And there's
Yep.
so many ways to make your dreams possible.
Yep.
If you're okay with yourself, and if you're okay with where you're going, you know what I mean? If you know you're on the right path.
Yeah, and it requires courage, and
Yeah.
that's the thing, like, that I found is
Right.
like,
Right.
okay, so for a lot of people, starting a business is super scary.
Right.
Super scary. That's the big scary thing. Maybe moving across the country. Like, my husband's moved all over the place. He's,
Right.
you know, he's from Italy. He moved to Colorado and New York
Wow.
City and Everett,
There you go.
Massachusetts, and like all
Yeah.
these awesome places. I mean, I wouldn't call Everett awesome. Sorry, anybody that's listening that's from there. Kind of a shithole.
Right.
But like, it is.
I
But
love it.
like for him, moving around was not courageous, but for me it was. For him, starting a business, that's like, are you kidding me? That's like really
Right.
daunting.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, it's just
It's
another
tough.
day at the office.
It's
No
tough.
matter what it is that we want to do in our lives, we all have a big scary thing.
Hmm.
And for the people that have already achieved a certain level of success, letting go of that success can feel like a non-negotiable.
Hmm.
Except, what if you can have your cake and eat it too? Right. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
I think the thing that we need to figure out. And that's the coaching work I like to do. But it all begins with the habits. I mean, I'm telling you, man, when I'm coaching with people, guess where we start? The 6 habits. Got to get
Yeah.
you right with you.
Right.
Because if you are feeling like you're good enough without all this fancy crap, you
Yeah.
might decide that humble life you've always secretly dreamed of but never dared to admit to anyone is actually going to make you happy, and you don't give a shit if nobody else likes it. You don't
Yeah.
care, you
Right.
know?
Because you're good with you. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
you become liberated, and
Oh yeah.
you get to escape from the weight of the success that you are currently being crushed under. And
Yeah.
it's a weird niche market that I have for the coaching stuff that I do, or facilitation work that I do. But at the end of the day, we all need a couple things. We need profound self-love. We need profound courage, and we
Hmm.
need permission to define happiness and joy on our own damn terms.
Yeah.
And listen, Dalton, you and I have different ideas of what happiness are. And
Yeah.
you and your
Yeah.
kids, you've got different ideas. And me and my husband, like, you
Sure.
know,
Sure.
like we're just different people. And that's
Yeah.
okay.
Right. Right. Well, and I guess you're right. You're on the, we're on the right path with that. Is like some people think that they have to fit an ideal of happiness, that someone else's happiness. I have to,
Yeah.
and like the consumerism trap that we're in really does a good job of that. Like I have to have the new car, I have to have the bigger house, I have to keep up with the
Yep.
Joneses, you know. But what I love about the 6 habits is I'm like you, very very stoic, very pragmatic. I don't read a lot of the fluffy self-help books, although I have.
Same.
But I like the pragmatic view of like, listen, you can have crappy days and still be happy. And I think you
Yeah.
mentioned that in your book, right?
Yeah. Like being plastic is not the goal. Like, and having this ridiculous dumb grin plastered on your face all the time is not the
Yeah,
goal. It's
yeah,
not even real.
yeah.
Like, sadness is part of the journey. And like,
Right.
you just need to be better
Well,
equipped to go along with life's bumps.
well, what's funny about, bringing up like the Hawaiian culture and stuff, and just like more Eastern philosophy is in the Western philosophy, we've done a real good job, and I, air quotes around good job of like, of telling people, how to live, or that sadness and pain are bad things, right? But like these, like
Yeah.
Hawaii, these Eastern philosophy, Buddhism and stuff like that, their pain and sadness, like these grieving moments are sacred, and they're supposed to be
They are.
treated like that, and,
Yeah.
and they're supposed to be a place to like this is it, now go, right? You can make a lot more progress here in these things, and the Western culture has done a good job of telling people that is
I
not the
know.
case,
I
right?
mean, listen,
It's sad.
I am an American, proud to
Yeah.
be an American, but I can
Yeah.
tell you there are some things that America has done very, very wrong.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, to me, I just always picture like that Murica, that meme, you know, and like,
Yes.
listen, I
Yeah.
am, I said, I'm proud to be an American. I am. And here's where I think we've done
Yeah.
a really bad disservice to our people. We've made things so easy to come by. We've
Mm.
commoditized things to the point where we've commoditized people. We've made
Yeah.
relationships transactional.
Oh,
We
yeah.
live in a very
Big deal.
litigious culture, and it's
Yeah.
like, and everything, magazine covers are airbrush, and little girls are growing up thinking that if they have a stitch of cellulite on their legs, that there's something wrong with them and they need to be
Yeah.
ashamed. And, men need to, not cry or have feelings. And, all the emotions are put on like a value judgment system of, oh, this one's
Mhm.
good, this one's bad, this one's good, this one's
Right,
bad.
right,
And if you
right.
have this one, then you have failed. And this one is the goal, and only joy is the goal. And sadness is, bad. And if that's where you are, and if you're having a hard time with the coronavirus stuff, then there's something wrong with you. And
Right.
you know what I'm saying? And it's just
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
wrong.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, it's
I'm with you.
maddening. And like, this
Yeah.
is a big part of the work I want to do, is like
Mhm.
giving people license and freedom. Feel your feelings. Don't get trapped in your feelings. But like,
Yeah,
if,
but
if
like
spirituality is your goal, like it was for me, go for
mm,
it.
yeah.
You want to open a business, you want to move, you get one precious life as far as we know.
Right.
So go for it. Why do you need to
Yeah.
spend your life living in fear or
Yeah.
trying to please somebody else's definition of happiness? Or, no offense, mom, but trying to make your mom happy. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that. And and there's a lot of things like that in your book that you ask people to do, and you ask them to make changes. And I'm curious about this because I've always wanted to ask an author this question, right?
do it.
And that's yeah, thank you. Is how do you balance making demands on the reader with taking care of the reader? So I know in your book there's a lot of
Wow, that's a great question.
well, I think you did a good job, but I'm curious from a writing standpoint, like you know that dynamic, right?
That's a great question. That might be one of my favorites ones. I like that one. You should ask other authors this one too.
All
It's
right.
it's it's thought provoking. No, I like that,
Mm,
because I think a big part of the reason why I chose to be vulnerable was, in a way, to take care of the reader and to nurture them and
yeah.
just be like, it's okay. You don't need to have it figured out. See, here I am naked. I'm vulnerable, and I'm just,
Yeah.
everything's hanging out. Like,
Right.
I am
Right.
not perfect, and I'm still doing these things. So I'm holding your hand. I'm in the suck with you, but
Hmm.
also this is what the other side looks like.
Yeah.
And, I do encourage people throughout the book, do the exercises, learn the principles, and do all this stuff. But one of the things that's like really powerful and impactful about all of this,
Hmm.
and I know you read this in the book and you hear me
Hmm.
talk about it. It's This is all pointless and stupid if you're just gonna read the book and not do the damn work.
Yeah.
Do the
Yeah.
work. I mean,
Yeah.
my approach to helping people is, it's a very loving punch in the face,
Hmm.
um, which some people love. And if you're a cynical New Englander like me, boy, you're gonna like my book. But
Yeah. Yeah.
if you want someone that's gonna like white glove and like, it's okay, you don't have to do the work.
Right.
You can just wish for it and try to
Yeah.
manifest all your feelings. It'll be so
Yeah.
nice. No, that's not the book I wrote. Do not buy it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but like, I want to give people the truth, but I also want to like empower them because of the truth. Like, you
Right.
can do this. Anybody can do this. My
Right.
stubborn ass with ADHD with a lot of baggage did this. And these are the steps. And a big part of the empowerment for me is all the free exercises that I give with the book. Like, okay, not just, hey, go out and change your life. No, no, no.
Yeah.
Read the book. Step 1. Step 2, go download all the free stuff and do the damn work. And I've
Yeah.
laid it out for you so you have no excuse. And for people that love doing that work and they really want to make that commitment to themselves, the 90-day program is built for those people. It was built for
Yeah.
me, and it's built for the people that are like, I need to adopt this 90-day, like, or this like 6
Yeah.
habits lifestyle so I can
Yeah.
truly be living my most ultimate life on my terms,
Right. Well,
you know?
and with when you implement those 6 habits, when I've done it in my life, and I'm working every day, but when I've noticed in my life that I'm doing these things very well, it's freeing for me because I know that nobody else, I'm not controlled by what other people think about me. I'm not controlled about
Right.
what happens to me necessarily, because I have these tools in my belt that that I can keep going, right? So I
Absolutely.
noticed, you mentioned the 90-day program. So when you've taken people down there, what's the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people? And I know you mentioned this a little bit with like work and stuff, but is there anything else that you're like, maybe like precursors to, that you can tell like, hey, this is going to be good, or man, this is going to be tough?
No, it's a good question. It's a fair one. I mean, I think,
Yeah.
lots of people in life, I mean, we're all coming from varied backgrounds. I mean, some people, they're stubborn like me. Like, I don't want to do things like 90-day programs. I don't want to do anything that requires discipline. I don't like taking my damn vitamins, but I did
Right.
at my dentist's insistence finally start flossing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think some people are predisposed to be really, successful at certain things. So what I would say is this, most people will find success across life if they just stick it out long enough and just keep at it when things get sucky. Like, I'm going to
I
be
like it.
perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
There's a reason it's 90 days. It's
Yeah.
because some of the days really suck. You don't like facing yourself. You get stubborn and you're like, I don't feel like doing this and I don't feel like learning this. And because it's your old habits and your old
Right.
you that you're trying to just lovingly say thank you, goodbye to. So you can usher in the new you. The old you doesn't want to go down without a fight. And,
Right. Yeah. It's
like
tough. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
faced this too. I mean, I was doing it. I had some days where I was like, I said this of my own program. This is dumb. I don't feel like doing it, and, but I
I
stuck
like
with
it.
it. And that's the thing that's really hard. And I built a program that was Laura proof basically, because
Hmm.
I'm convinced I'm among the top 10% of stubborn humans on the planet. And I don't like being told what to do. Gretchen
Yeah.
Rubin wrote this great book called The Four Tendencies. There's like,
Mm.
it's all how we respond to expectation. And,
Mm.
I thought it was fascinating. So there's a book to add to your shelf. I
Yeah,
loved it.
I got to do
So
the four tendencies.
the four tendencies was awesome. And it's like, so there's the four tendencies, the people that respond really well to other people's expectations and their own. And then there's the people that respond really well to only their own, but nobody else's. Then there's the opposite, only responding to everybody else's really well, but never their own. And then there's the people like me, the rebel, that I don't respond to anybody's expectations really well, my own or anybody else's. I'm the
Yeah.
rebel. I'm actually the most likely to drop a program like 3 days in and be like, yeah, we're done here. I don't feel like doing this. But I have to want the result bad enough. And that's why the work that I give away with the book is so important. If you
Yeah.
are willing
Yeah.
and you've got the courage to face yourself and do that work, you should do the 90-day, because the work that's in there, it's hard. I'm going to be honest with you. It's
Hmm.
hard. It's looking at yourself. And like, one of the questions in there is like, what things are in your past that you need to forgive yourself for?
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
question that has made my clients cry in the past,
Yeah.
because these are the painful things. But here's the truth. Whenever we're willing to face the deep, dark, and ugly places, and by the way, deep, dark, and ugly is my specialty. When we face those things and we courageously go into the abyss, we hate what's there, but we do it anyway. That's when we are liberated, because we're
Hmm.
not running from the truth anymore. The truth is there. It's looking at us, and we're able to use the truth and be like, oh my God, you do the work, right? It's all free. Do it, right? I'm holding
Yeah.
you accountable, Dalton. You better do the damn work. But like,
Deal.
when you,
I
right?
accept it.
I
Yeah.
know. So when you do this stuff, right, and you face yourself, you know what happens? You have epiphany after epiphany after epiphany, and your
Mhm.
mind gets blown by, oh my God. You realize your own culpability. You realize the habits that brought you to the life you're living.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
realize the ones that you need are not in your repertoire. You realize it, right? You see it for self, but then you also realize, I can do this. I'm actually
Right.
capable, and I'm not as far off as maybe my little broken, you know, mantras inside my head would have me believe. Because here's the
Right.
thing. We are all proficient at each of the 6 habits to varying degrees
Mhm.
now. But it's a
Yes.
matter of being conscious of what they are, having clarity and a spotlight on each of what they are, but then more specifically, a friggin' pathway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and I love what you mentioned earlier. Like, we think we know what these are too. Like, we all have these ideas of what they are, but before you dive into this program that you're talking about, and before you dive into the book, other people, right? It's very cosmetic, it's very superficial, and then you start to dive deeper and realize that these things aren't like values, they're not words, they're actually like they're behaviors and habits, and they're
Yeah.
things that you do and how you interact with yourself in the world,
Yes.
that a lot of people
Yes.
miss. You know what I mean? And I like that you brought up transactional relationships too, because I'm a totally firm believer that we've gotten lost in like this, like our friendships are like gumball machines, right? Like I'll give you something and then get something back,
Yeah,
and once that's exhausted between you and me, we've got nothing left off for each other, and then we're going to leave. And that's such a horrible way to,
it
and I
is.
know horrible is a strong word, but that's such a horrible way to like interact with another
It is
human.
horrible. I mean, I like the word horrible. I also like the word tragic,
Yeah,
because
that's better. Yeah,
what we're
yeah,
doing is we're really like
yeah,
devaluing ourselves, and we're devaluing the people we love,
yeah.
because we're looking at people through the lens of what do I get out of this person?
Hmm.
And we're like, it's just, oh, it's so toxic, and it's not good for us. And
Right,
at the end of the day, like, the thing that we need to be doing is getting in a much much more solid relationship with ourselves, um because then that actually enables us to be in a more solid relationship with others. you
right,
know like, you
right,
don't need to have transactional relationships with people. There's no more
right.
gumball effect
Yeah,
when you have
yeah,
a relationship with a dear friend, and it's going really really well. You're both nurtured, you both feel fulfilled,
yeah,
your needs are
yeah,
met, and you don't feel like your cup is being emptied when someone needs you.
yeah.
You
Absolutely.
can give from a much better place, and you can also learn to receive. And
Right.
receiving, by the way, is one of the harder things that I don't think Americans are very good at doing.
Yeah, yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
We've been trained as a culture. There's something wrong with you. You are only a transactional value, and
Yeah.
you can
Well,
only
it's
do good in the world, but if you have to keep it a secret, and you have to do
right.
this, and you have to.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, what about, you don't have to, you don't have to, you don't have to. How about just
Yeah.
be joyful, be happy, and
Be, yes.
just
Be.
be.
Yeah,
What
just
about
be.
living in harmony with
Right,
others,
right.
with yourself? You
Well,
know?
and I was going to mention that too. Like the more that we have transactional relationships with other people, the more we start to have that with ourselves. Like I've caught that with myself, like I'm going to do this. I'm going to, if I do this with myself, then I'm going to give this to myself instead of just being, something like, I'm just going to do this and it's going to suck. And there's no, reward at the end of it other than, my continuing progress. Right.
Right. Hmm.
So I absolutely love that. And I loved your book. And back to the question about, how do you balance between you taking care of the reader and asking stuff of them? I thought you did a great job in your book. I thought the whole book was really good for whatever that's
Thank you.
worth.
Well, that's worth a lot, and I appreciate that you're the guy
Yeah.
like me that wants the paperback and the audio. I saw your order come through, and I remember signing your book for you, and I'm like, yay! I can't wait to talk to him. So
Yes. No, it was a great
this
book and I appreciate it. Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, I'm just really committed to um, serving others. And, I have to say that was probably one of the surprising benefits of doing all this remarkable work and creating all of this that started as such an egocentric thing.
Mhm.
I want to feel better. I want to take care of me, right?
Right. Right. Oh,
But
geez.
then once I healed me and grew and nurtured myself, then it stopped being about me. And it was like, wow, now my love for others is much more profound. And
Hmm.
now that I'm like actually whole and complete, I don't have to worry about myself anymore. Like, I can do lots of good in the world, and I have so much more love for others. And and this is the hope that I have. I want other people to master the 6 habits, because then they'll stop thinking about themselves, and they too, just like me, will start to think about others and think
Hmm.
about our children and the next generation and future leaders and
Yeah.
the way companies and commerce and government is run. And we cannot think beyond ourselves until we nurture, heal, and grow ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't think you could have said it any better. I really appreciate that. And it's true. I think when we start with ourselves, I think everything else runs smoother. Governments run smoother. Well, and we start to see people as they really are, right? Just like
Yeah.
us. Like we're not any different. We're all
Yeah,
dealing with it.
totally.
Baggage is baggage, right? Like, like I've always said that. Like your baggage is different than mine, but we have to deal with it with these habits. We have to deal with it these same ways, right? Forgiving ourselves and moving on and being present and having intention about getting better or about getting
Absolutely.
with the right
It, it's
thing, right?
it's totally a lifestyle. And,
Mm,
I said
yeah,
that it's right on the front page of my website. And I feel like only until you've actually read the book do you truly understand that it really is a lifestyle.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
one that we should all really be excited to adopt because it's a lifestyle of I'm always kind to myself. I'm always happy. I'm
yeah,
always grateful. And
yeah,
if life punches me in the face, I always get back up. And
right.
I have my feelings and I get to be sad and I get
Yeah,
to be human and I always love myself no matter what I go through. And I always keep going. And
yeah,
that's the whole thing about lifestyles. It's the
right.
consistency in the loyalty to ourselves, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, I really appreciate that. No, thank you so much. Well, it was, I don't want to keep you here all day, but it was an honor speaking with you. It was an honor having you on the podcast. And if there's anything, if you have a 30-second message to leave with people, if you had that long, what would that message be? And what would you tell the people? I know we've kind of talked about it, but I'm
No, we
kind of curious.
have, but summarizing is nice. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I could do this with you, and I really appreciate you having me here. And believe me, the honor is mine. Being able to spread the message and talk with like-minded people is really joyful. If anybody wants to learn more and listen to more of my other interviews, you can go to
Yeah.
the6habits.com. The word six is spelled out, the SIX habits.com. But the takeaway point that I really want to leave people with is you deserve a better life than the one that your habits have led you to create. You can have a happier life. You can have a happier marriage. You can have a more joyful existence, happier kids. You can be the change you wish to see in the world. It all begins with you. And not only do you deserve it, you're fully capable. And the work, although not always fun, is the most profoundly beneficial, worthwhile work you'll ever do in your life that will pay you dividends until your last breath.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Not to oversell it or
No,
anything.
100%. All day. Yes, all day. So before we go, how do people find you if they want to order the book, if they want to get involved with the program, with the 90-day mastery program? Where do they go? How do they find you?
So if anyone goes to the6habits.com,
Mhm.
you can learn about the book. Right now I have something where you can get a free copy of the paperback, just pay the shipping and handling. You can
Mhm.
do what Dalton and I love to do and get the
Yeah.
audio book too, which is awesome. And
Yes.
the 90-day program is an absolute life changer. That's on there as well. And if you want to learn more about working with me one-on-one or learn about my TED Talk, hell, I'd love to learn about my TED Talk
Yeah.
whenever it's going to be rescheduled.
Well, there it
Um,
is. Yeah.
and we can learn together, but that'll all be on the6habits.com. And
Great.
yeah, for those that are really brave, you want to try going to lauradbenedetto.com, have fun spelling. And if you get there, God bless you.
Yeah.
That's why I have the6habits.com. Nobody can spell it.
Yeah. DiBenedetto. I learned how to spell it.
Well, you got
Great.
it's sitting there, boom, right across the
Yeah,
cover
that's
of the
right.
book. So yeah,
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a great day and keep doing the work you're doing because it's really good and I really enjoy
thank you so much for supporting me and having me as a guest. I appreciate it.
it. Absolutely. See ya.
Bye.